welcome to Americans Learn. My name is Lauren, and today I am going to be looking at a video by Blue Jay. I love him. This one is how to start a soda company. I feel like Pterodactylus might have suggested this to me. Someone did. I don't quite remember. I'm sorry, because it's been a couple of weeks, because I'm slow and lazy. But in any case, I really do enjoy Blue Jay's videos. We're going to learn how to start a soda company. And it's probably going to get a little crazy. Let's go. Oh, good start. Good start.
Today's the day, Alex. You think I'm ready, Doc? I know you're ready, son. Come on. I don't know if I can trust myself out there, Doc. What if I'm terrified of... God, I'm still insane. You're not insane, my boy. You're human. One that has experienced far more trauma than any should. And as humans, we manifest our own unique ways to cope with excess stress. Yours, of course, being vivid avian hallucinations. I know this. I know. You're a smart boy. You've heard all this already. But it's important that in our darkest moments we remind ourselves of what we know to remain calm. And what do we know, Alex? That I'm strong, yes. That I am in control,
yes.
And that there's no such thing as giant omnipotent bird demigods. You're ready. Susan,
There's definitely
help Alex
such a
check
thing.
out, would you? Thank you. For everything.
Sorry, Alex.
You did all the work, Alex.
You're gonna be in trouble in a
I just
minute.
handed you a wrench.
Aw.
I'll see you again soon for our checkups, alright?
His little squinchy eyes. This is adorable. It's only going to get ruined. Blue Jay, why do you do this to me? Why are you starting with this, with this super traumatic thing?
Right.
Emotional responses.
Right, of course.
All right, honey, I'll just need you to sign right here.
Sure thing. $123,000? Is this right?
You needed a lot of help. A lot of help that your insurance deemed non-essential.
No. This
Sounds about
can't be
right.
Surely there are some...
Okay, hold up. This was the Toledo. This is the Toledo Psychiatric Hospital. Doesn't Canada have free healthcare? So if this was bad enough even for Canada to charge him $123,000, he was in trouble. And it comes. See the pipe? It comes.
discounts for extended stays or fees that can be waived or perhaps some charges that can be forgiven. That's quite a bit of medical debt you got there, Alex. No, the pills! Give me the pills! Oh, how I've missed you, buddy. You can't be here! You're not supposed to be here! I miss my good old pal's relief stay from the psych ward. I would never. And good thing I didn't, because that's a pretty penny you owe there, Alex. But hey, while 123K sounds like a lot, Coca-Cola makes that much every 1 minute and 25 seconds. Cool.
Great. Okay.
I don't own Coca.
So that's where it is. That's where it is. I love that it was in Toledo, though. It's like, just put it in Wisconsin or something.
Coca-Cola. No, but you do own Alexi-Cola. LLC. No more adventures. Can I just do some kind of payment plan?
We also accept payment in the form of organs and or firstborn children.
Sounds about right.
I own the hospital, Alex. Just kill me later. But first, we're gonna dive
Oh,
into...
so he is real. And this Sharon? Whatever her name is, she's in on it.
The propaganda-driven, diabetes-given, controversy-ridden history of the soft drink business.
This is gonna be fun because I just watched the I recently watched the Fat Electrician video on it, so I like to see other creators talking about something that I kind of have an idea about.
Teach you how to run a soda company.
You think, and you're right.
First things first, I need you to put on this little hat. What? Just
As I said in that Fat Electrician video, my soda habits are, if there's not alcohol in it, I'm probably not gonna drink it.
real quick, come on. Great. God, what happened? Why do I smell purple? Don't worry about it. Say, Alex, do you remember your mother's name? Of course I do. It's, Blue Jay, what did you do to me? Nothing a little visit to today's sponsor, MyHeritage can't fix.
Oh,
MyHeritage is the leading platform for family history, and with access to over 33 billion records, it's an incredible tool for when I lobotomize you. Which I will. MyHeritage...
He will do that. I'm always a little bit worried about things like this, especially because we just had there was that whole like 20 3andMe thing where they released all of that DNA and data to like everybody. So just, I mean, it's not like I've never done, I did an Ancestry.com one. I learned some interesting things. But
Let
just
you
be
uncover
careful,
long
think
lost
about it.
ancestors, build your family tree, and learn family facts you never knew before, making it perfect for impressing everyone at family gatherings. Hey Grandma, did you know Great Aunt Betty was a renowned cobbler?
Oh, how wonderful. I never knew that, Billy.
Yeah, and she also smuggled PCP for the Latvian mafia and is believed to have remaining stashes amongst her relatives.
Cool.
Oh, dear.
FBI, don't move! I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting all that much at first. Seeing the Ellis Island immigration documents for my Italian family was cool, but as a history nerd, I've always been able to find that kind of stuff on my own. It wasn't until I started filling out my family tree on my mom's side that I was blown away by how much info MyHeritage was able to dig up with their instant discovery feature. In just a couple of minutes, it was able to show me my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather,
Dang.
Robert Alcox, born a whole 15 generations back in England in 1516. And in that same lineage, I've
Also kind of terrifying. Also a little bit terrifying. That. We did one time do like we did a family tree search. We found an old family tree in my grandfather's house, and we actually looked into it a little bit, which was kind of interesting. We had the actual papers. This is before Ancestry.com. The only thing I really remember from that was that I had some relative who lost an eye fighting for the North at the Battle of Bull Run. That's all I really know. It's the only thing I remember. This guy lost an eye at the Battle of Bull Run. That's the coolest family trivia thing that I know.
found a relative who was one of the first inhabitants of the Plymouth colony in the 1600s, which was so cool that I temporarily overcame my depression from discovering that I have some English in me. MyHeritage can also enhance, colorize, and do neat little animations with the family photos it digs up from your past. Just check out all these studs in their 4K glory. So if you too want to uncover your family story, MyHeritage is offering you a 14-day free trial. Just click my link in the description or pinned comment below to get started. Thank you, MyHeritage, for
Okay, so you can, it looks like MyHeritage is interesting because it looks like you can just fill out a family tree and find stuff that way. You don't have to send the DNA. Okay, that might be a little bit different.
Sponsoring the video. The first step to starting any great soda company is crafting the perfect recipe.
So much cocaine.
Picasso first needs his spark of passion before putting brush to canvas, so too does an aspiring soda entrepreneur first need his inspiration. Any back alley addlepay can chuck a bunch of chemicals and fluids in a rusty jug of water and call it a soda. That's how we get ginger ale after all. But only a true artist can concoct a recipe that decisively takes off, encapsulating society in a glycogenic fervor that shapes the face of culture for generations.
Glycogenic fervor. That's a fantastic phrase.
Take John Stith Pemberton, a wounded Confederate Civil War veteran who sought to cure his post-war morphine addiction by experimenting with various painkiller and toxin cocktails. A sentence that is littered with perhaps the most red flags I've ever seen. Like many artists,
including the actual Confederate red flag.
Pemberton was inspired by another person's work, a French drink called Vin Mariani that he found to miraculously help with his morphine addiction.
I did forget that it was a Confederate Civil War soldier.
Which makes sense because he was drinking cocaine. Coined a coca wine due to the drink's ingredients being just coke and wine, Vin Mariani was touted as a patent medicine and came off the heels of the booming popularity of coca leaves and all their lovely brain tickles. Having found a magical alternative to the morphine and heroin-based concoctions on the market,
also uppers v downers.
Little Confederate was determined to sell some coca wine of his own. I'm telling ya, this is gonna be huge. All I need is one of them patents. Well, that's the thing, John. The point of a patent is that you can't just sell the same thing another person made. Oh, come on. The French aren't people. They most certainly are. Really? Yes. Oh. Well, it's not the same thing. It's not. No. Holy shit. To give it a little character of its own, Pemberton took this devil's dandruff cocktail and chucked in a few cola nuts for caffeine, calling it Pemberton's French Wine Coca, a quote, great and sure remedy for all nervous disorders.
I mean, it'll definitely give you some, I feel like. God, you would be so jazzed. all the time. I wouldn't have to drink 10 cups of coffee.
All of them, whether it was nerves in the brain or nerves in the bed, Pemberton's French wine cocoa was sure to set not only your mind straight, but your cock as well. Now,
oh my God,
come to these
okay.
conclusions after rigorous experimentation and the application of the scientific method? No, but he didn't need to waste time on petty cocaine research.
It's the 1800s.
The famous Sigmund Freud made such claims himself. And when was he ever wrong or sexually attracted to his mom? So you're telling me, wait, what was that last part? No time for that. Okay.
Always.
So you're telling me that they just let adults get blasted off coke wine? No, of course not. The children could too, but don't worry, they were only recommended half the dose, and no one had a problem with this. Actually, Alex, some people did. In fact, cocoa wines were banned in Atlanta shortly after Pemberton's debut. Oh, thank God. As you should.
Atlanta.
After all, only sinners drink alcohol. So after Atlanta passed prohibition in 1885, Pemberton swapped out the problematic alcohol for a boatload of sugar and called it Coca-Cola. Cola for the cola nut extract, and Coca for the fact that it still very much so contained cocaine.
All right, just the cocaine is fine. It's the alcohol that's bad for you. All right, Alabama.
And thus, an American staple was born. Great, well, cocaine is illegal, and I'm not a morphine-addicted Confederate, so I'm not sure how any of this applies to me. You may not have a physical wound to exploit yet, but according to your medical file that I bribed an intern for, you are just riddled with depression and anxiety.
You wouldn't have to bribe. You said you owned the hospital. I am sensing a hole in this Blue Jays argument.
So let's just throw a Xanax in your soda and call it a day. Now that you've got a product to sell, it's time to move on to step 2 for starting a soda company.
Advertising.
Propaganda, or as companies put it to make it more palatable, marketing. While you might think this is something only done by a company with an ad budget, marketing, or the act of getting one's message out there, is one that we all participate in on a daily basis. Even something as simple as thanking people for their support can come with an underlying motive, like maybe you want to praise the viewer as well. Advertising and communication are core parts.
All right,
of the
Blue
experience.
Jay. I love that. I feel like in the last 3 videos, he has commented about Elon Musk being a Nazi.
And nobody understands this better than soda companies. Coca-Cola alone spends upwards of
Actually, you know what? Foul Nutrition has been doing that too, I think. I feel like it just keeps cropping up in a lot of these videos that I'm watching. It's like, hey, remember that time that Elon Musk did a Nazi salute? Remember that time? I remember that time.
$1 billion a year on advertising, with every penny going towards making sure that no matter what you're doing, the only thing going through your little head is just how much better things would be with a cold glass of soda. Amazed that LeBron can jump that height? Well, that's because he drinks a Sprite. Calling gamers slurs online? Not without your lemon lime. Son dying from epilepsy? Hey, that kind of rhymes with Pepsi. But getting people to simply know about your soda's existence isn't enough. You need to get them to want to buy it. And with today's pesky scientists publishing their stupid research on soft drinks and their contributions to obesity, diabetes, or whatever other nerd shit, soda executives face the unique challenge of convincing the broader public to willingly drink their poison. Hello, my good man. May I interest you in a scrumptious mouthful of my savory syrup? What? A glass of soda. Oh, no, thanks. I've heard it's not all that healthy. Nonsense. It's perfectly healthy, my friend. Well, my diabetic aunt just had to have her leg amputated after drinking 3 Mountain Dews a day. But have you considered that
how long?
it just did that? Her leg.
Yeah, it might have just did that.
Yeah, I mean...
It might have just did that. It's true.
Who's to say? Well, her doctor, for one. Funny you mentioned doctor. I got one right here. Hello, I am doctor. Really? What's your field? Doctor. Hey doc, what do you think about my soda here? Is good. Make healthy and fertile. Oh, really? The wife and I have been trying for a while now. Does it help with low sperm counts? We can arrange for more semen. Ew, that skit was disgusting. Hey, don't be mad at me, Alex. Diet Pepsi isn't vegan, but the company won't say what animal product is in it. What else am I to assume, if not the worst? But anyway,
my God.
with combating the sugar bad narrative pushed by scientists, soda companies learned that the best way to inform was to misinform.
Yikes.
So if researchers are gonna research, how about we buy some of our own? What, you can't just buy scientists to say whatever you want. No, of course not. We could never undermine the ethics of scientific research, but we can underline just how many millions of dollars we're giving to it. Both Coca-Cola and Pepsi are notable for having shoveled millions of dollars down the gullets of universities and scientists to publish studies showing that the lack of exercise and not diet was responsible for obesity.
It's like the welcome to night mail thing. It's like guns don't kill people, blood loss and organ damage do. Like the NRA the NRA bumper stickers, which are very funny. You should look up the Welcome to Night Vale NRA bumper stickers. They're all very good.
A strategy expertly pulled out of Big Tobacco's playbook. Sure, they can't make scientists say exactly what they want, but let's just say a few Scrooge McDuck sacks of gold can have anyone saying nice things about you. Thank you all for coming, and thank you to
Or
our
just worse
benefactor
things
from
about the other
Coca-Cola,
person.
Mr. Bernard, for organizing this conference. Yo! We're excited to report that after rigorous trials, we've been able to conclude that sugar does not meaningfully contribute to obesity. In fact, it's rather the lack of exercise that's the biggest culprit.
And your confidence in your findings. Was it a small sample size?
Our trials were quite extensive and were conducted across many species as well, everything from a hawk to a rat.
Fascinating.
We've also found that consumers of the new limited edition Blueberry Blast Coca-Cola in stores now showed athletic improvements, and people that signed up for the subscription model using code SCIENCE for 15% off were all able to dunk, even with, quote, the rim like all the way up. All the way up? Surely they still had to use the mini trampoline. Nuh-uh. Oh my god.
mini trampoline.
Furthermore, our research showed that executives of beverage companies last on average 15 minutes longer in bed and leave their partners 25% more satisfied than non-executives. Shit, that's crazy.
I doubt
mean,
that.
hey, if the science man said it, you know. Even if some of these universities wanted to conduct completely unbiased research, according to one analysis, Coca-Cola in many instances reserved the right to control what scientific findings were published and even terminate studies early without reason.
I will say that whatever this university is, the sidewalk design is bizarre. Why does it do that? It seems obnoxious. Anyway.
Well, they eventually removed the cocaine, right? So clearly they care somewhat about health. Oh, trust me, Alex. Coca-Cola was more than happy to indefinitely let men, women, and children run amok thoroughly blitzed on cocaine. You know, so long as they weren't black. What? At the start of its lifetime, Coca-Cola was only sold at soda fountains in drugstores and pharmacies, where
You know what? That does make sense. It was made by a Confederate.
a soda jerk would crank out some delicious syrup and mix it with carbonated water, or jerk it into a cup, if you will. One of your fine Coca-Colas, my good sir. No problem. Let me just jerk one out real quick. Excellent. Say, do you gentlemen do catering, by the way? It depends. Depends on what? Whether it's within 100 feet of a school or playground. Oh. Children don't make good customers then, I take it. Well, that's just what the judge thinks.
Oh my god. This is a gross one too.
So,
Why so
can I
gross?
have my soda? What? Oh, yeah, coming right up. Soda fountain exclusivity
Gross.
remained the norm up until 1899 when Coca-Cola was finally convinced to start bottling their drink, especially once they learned they could make them all sexy-like with childbearing hips. Since OnlyFans wasn't a thing yet, sales went through the roof, which on one hand was great because the drink can now reach a wider audience, but also terrible because the drink can now reach a wider audience.
You people are trying to take our culture. This is our drink.
No man, I just like the taste.
Oh, okay. Then why didn't y'all drink it before?
But not Radney too, what's your excuse? I just never got around to it. Now that minorities had access to the drink, middle-class whites became terrified
Of
that
course they did.
Coca-Cola was churning out coked-up African-American lunatics.
So it's only okay. What? Okay. Ugh. The racism is does bizarre things to people's brains. Why is it not a fiend if they're white? What the fuck? Okay.
With Southern newspapers even running with headlines stating, quote, black cocaine fiends were raping white women, only they didn't say black. Naturally, Coca-Cola, who had hitherto been seen as an intellectual drink for well-off whites, panicked
Okay.
at the prospect of being associated with scaly minorities. But that's not something a little rebrand can't fix. So before it was ever even banned, Coca-Cola removed cocaine from their drink, not for legal reasons, nor for health reasons, but to cleanse their image of any association with black people. Don't
Right.
get too worried, Alex. They didn't stick to their anti-black policy forever. They would later make up for their bigoted past by embracing the black community. See, they're not racist. They've got Bill Cosby handing out cokes now. Just make sure they're not opened first. Now, when you see a company openly
Gross.
avoid African Americans, exploit and benefit from South African apartheid, and land themselves the biggest racial discrimination settlement in American history, there is probably one thought that immediately comes to mind. That's right, an open market. And who else was better positioned to capitalize on so many unwanted customers than Pepsi? Always nipping at Coca-Cola's heels, Pepsi decided to embrace these neglected customers with open pockets. So much so that Pepsi even opened a black markets division in the 1940s solely focused on targeting the demographic. Only they didn't say black.
Of course
This division
not.
focused on advertisements showing black Americans in a positive light, avoiding stereotypes, and attacking Coke for their anti-black discrimination and support for segregationist politicians. The push was a huge success,
Okay,
resulting in
Pepsi.
black Americans being 3 times more likely to buy Pepsi over Coke, all while the marketing team received discrimination themselves from their co-workers. And
Of
even
course
threats
they
from the
did.
KKK.
Of
We
course they
warned you,
did.
Pepsi. This was y'all's doing. String 'em up, boys.
Got him.
Wait. Demography targeted
Oh my
advertising
God.
wasn't exclusive to race, however. Mountain Dew, for example, got its start making fun of poor Appalachians with the subtle mascot, Willie the Hillbilly, promoting the soda with his titular catchphrase, Mountain Dew, it'll tickle your innards.
Yeah.
What the hell does that mean? Who knows? Perhaps it's a whimsical way of pointing out that your
Ugh.
bloodstream will never have more glucose in it. Or maybe it was just more catchy than it'll destroy your tooth enamel and skyrocket diabetes statistics.
Yep.
But either way, it sure is an interesting choice of words when
That doesn't sound good. That sounds bad. It'll tickle your innards. That sounds dangerous. That sounds like giving Pop Rocks and Coke, you know, it'll explode you.
talking about the people known for incest. That's disgusting. Well, it seems they thought so too, but that's not something a little rebrand can't fix. So they soon replaced it with, get that barefoot feeling drinking Mountain Dew. Ugh, and that's supposed to be better? This is a Blue Jay video, Alex. Things don't get better.
Nope, they
While
don't.
marketing is important, you won't always have control over your soda's narrative.
Holy shit.
So part of the propaganda biz is battling misinformation. But you just showed how big soda literally peddles misinformation. You're a corporation in the 21st century, Alex. Misinformation is whatever you want it to be. But regardless, there are
Sure.
times where these companies have been faced with actual falsehoods, some of which you may have heard yourself. Take, for example, the urban legend that claims a disgruntled Pepsi employee infected batches of the soda with his own
never heard that one.
contaminated blood. It's a tale that's made the rounds multiple times over the past few decades.
Never heard that one, but like I said, I have heard of the Pop Rocks and Coke thing exploding your stomach, which I do know is not true, but still.
It even got to the point where the CDC themselves released a statement to debunk the rumor. No, there's absolutely no merit to this story. Of all the bodily fluids we've analyzed in Diet Pepsi, none contained any trace of HIV.
Oh, wow.
Bodily fluids? Plural?
Don't worry about
You
it.
said it's not vegan. Another time in 2004,
worry about it.
farmers in India began buying Coke and Pepsi en masse to use on their crops. By spraying the soda on their cotton and chili fields, the sugar would attract ants who would then feed on the larvae of insects that were
Wow.
damaging the harvest, which makes these colas pretty great at pest control. Almost like a pesticide. Which is not a word you want associated with your beverage.
No.
Hey, can you pass me the pesticide? Yeah, here. No. Tell me you've not been using this. Of course I've been using the pesticide. No, Oddvic, this is Red Bull. Do you have any idea what you've done? It was spread throughout the region that Pepsi and Coca-Cola were pesticides, requiring the companies to put in a lot of work to dispel these narratives.
It's like, no.
So it wasn't all that helpful when a 2006 investigation showed that both sodas had, quote, unacceptably high levels of pesticide,
Yay.
resulting in a ban. The Indian government would later say that these tests were flawed, but rumors are kind of like homeless people. They always stick around where you don't want them, no matter how much you try to extinguish
Jay.
them. Misinformation can also be
Blue
spread in
Jay.
the form of frivolous lawsuits. Such was the case in 2009 when a man sued Pepsi for finding a whole dead mouse in his can of Mountain Dew. Now, whether or not this was actually true or just some Tom and Jerry shenanigans of the soda factory isn't important. What's really important is deciding how to respond to this legal attack. And if we
Madison
just take a
County,
look at our
Illinois,
fancy
huh?
decision generator here, Pepsi could either A, quietly settle the matter outside of court to avoid media attention, B, make arguments about the quality of their safety standards throughout their facilities, or C, utilize experts to scientifically prove that a mouse couldn't possibly have been found in the soda, as the acidic concoction would have dissolved the body into a, quote, jelly-like substance in a matter of 30 days. No way they publicly said jelly-like substance. Of course not, Alex. They actually said more than that, adding, quote,
Oh
by
my
30 days
God.
of exposure to the fluid, all of the mouse's structures will have disintegrated to the point the structures, excepting possibly a portion of the tail, will not be recognizable. Really adding some colorful imagery to the
Put that in you. Let that in you. I guess like the indication is that like it's not going to stay inside you for 30 days. It will go away, but like ugh. Big yikes. I mean, I used to see a lot of those science fair projects where they put like a tooth in a tooth in a Pepsi and it would dissolve, but like yikes.
the soda that sports the catchphrase, "It'll tickle your innards." Pepsi would continue to bring in experts to present arguments that Mountain Dew was actually more corrosive than your average soda. And while that might have been helpful from a legal standpoint, arguing that your soda, which already looks like toxic waste, is strong enough to dissolve cute animal corpses doesn't necessarily bode well for the marketing department. Thankfully, to my knowledge, Pepsi's experts didn't provide an experimental study for the court, but that didn't stop the internet's experts from conducting experiments of their own.
Oh
I'll
my
link to one such
God,
video in the
gross.
description, and I do mean from the most sincere pits of my cold, dead, wretched heart to truly watch at your own risk.
I'm
But
not
hey,
watching
if
that.
Pepsi ever wants to truly embrace their hillbilly origins and release Mountain Dew Rat Float,
Oh
at
my
least they have a
God.
recipe up their sleeve. Or
my
maybe
God.
that's just how they make Code Red. But how about we take a quick break from marketing to talk about another vital sector of the soda business, scaling and product improvement. To meet your new demand, you're going to need to increase your production, and to keep that demand growing, you're going to need to improve your products. Now, seeing this self-fulfilling cycle, you're probably wondering, when does one become satisfied with their product and level of demand? But now you're already making your first mistake, as the only question that should be on your mind is how to increase shareholder value.
Oh,
In 1996, unionists for a Coca-Cola bottling plant in Colombia were working hard lobbying to improve the wages and living conditions of the workers.
That'll never
You have
happen.
a business to operate and profits to populate. So when faced with this crisis, how would you retaliate? That's right, Alex. Why increase a wage that you have to pay every single week when bullets are a one-time fee? So the Coke plant sent a Colombian death squad
What?
to kill union leader Isidro Gil, burn down the union hall, and force the workers to resign at gunpoint. Now that's thinking with shareholder value. This marked the 8th trade union leader to be assassinated by Colombian death squads at Coke facilities, igniting the Stop Killer Coke campaign that saw schools and universities terminating their contracts with the soda company. But
I don't think that was in the other video. Was it? Did I miss it? Did I forget? It's been a while since I watched it. Holy crap.
that's not something a little rebrand can't fix. So Coke went balls to the wall cleaning their image, scrubbing search engines and websites of any mention of the activist campaign.
Of course they did.
And pushing the results of a flawed UN investigation that notably only analyzed current working conditions of the bottling plants. You know, after all the death squatting. Wow, I mean, everything looks great. I think we're done here. Oh yeah, wait, what's behind this door?
Don't worry about it.
Renovations. Ah, I see. And what about this double-tapped gentleman right here? Technically, he died yesterday. Excellent, excellent. Sir, we need to report this. Daniel, read the top of your form for me. Inspection of current working conditions. Exactly.
I mean, he is still there. That would decrease morale at the very least.
Now tell me, is this deceased gentleman currently bleeding out? No. So do we report this? No, sir. No, we do not. However,
I love that. That's actually really cool. How the guy like steps into the blood and just becomes part of the accomplishing. That's pretty good. Good storytelling. Good
Is
job.
currently affecting my working conditions, so we will be reporting this to HR. The events would also spark an international
He's also
lawsuit
coming
against
back.
Coca-Cola for their responsibility in the kidnapping, torture, and murder of union activists in Colombia. After which, the hitman fired 10 shots into Mr. Gill's
Great.
heart, groin, and head, killing him on the spot. And does the defense have an argument? Yes, Your Honor. Has the court considered that maybe his head just did that? Coke would end up winning the case due to a lack of evidence, and both they and the bottling plant would forever deny any connections with the Colombian death squads.
Yep.
So I guess they killed unionists, forced workers to resign, and even murdered the widow of Isidro Gil, who continued to protest her husband's death, leaving their 2 children orphaned because they felt
my
like
God.
it. I mean, obviously that can't all be a coincidence. How can they possibly treat these people this way? Hey, when you're outside the US, you can get away with a lot with those who you don't view as people. And inside outside the US, the same can be said with those who literally aren't people. Animal testing has been a hot button issue since as far back as the 1800s, with corporate
I didn't also realize that there was going to be animal testing in this video. This is wild.
corporations and scientists alike selecting, injecting, and dissecting practically every one of God's creations. And Coca-Cola, ever seeking the perfection of their craft, decided why not try their hand at this animal testing strat. But where a cosmetic company might test their lipstick on a rabbit to examine skin sensitivity, how might Coca-Cola test their soda on a chimp to examine sweetness reception? Okay, hear me out. Coca-Cola decided that the optimal way to test sweetness was to take a chimpanzee, cut open its face, and study the nerve impulses that are used in the perception of sweet tastes. Now, is it ethical to skin animal faces Hannibal Lecter style to find out if their soda is finger-looking good? That's right, it doesn't matter, as the integrity of the primate's face has no impact on shareholder value. But regardless, public pressure resulted in Coca-Cola pledging to cease all unnecessary animal testing in 2007. But they still have employees.
A little bitter.
You could just ask me. John, please sedate the monkey. As you can see, by following the gods of profit, the world is your oyster, Alex. Sure, your manufacturing might decimate local water supplies for impoverished communities, but making sure people have...
I'm still on that. I'm sorry. I'm still on that. Whew. I'd never heard of that. Oh, God.
Water doesn't increase shareholder value. Selling it back to them in a bottle does. This feels more and more like Nazi Germany shit. Alex, how dare you besmirch the good name of Coke? Calling the delicious bottled freedom that is Coca-Cola a Nazi brand is completely uncalled for. That would be Fanta. Now that you've got your production scaling to greater and greater outputs, so too must you market at an ever-growing scale. And sure, this can easily be done with stuff like stadium advertising, product placement, releasing iPhone apps that objectify women and teach pickup lines to help you get laid, etc.
That happened too? What the fuck?
An itch like sweepstakes. Do you ever watch Charlie and the Chocolate Factory while slurping down a cola and wish that you too could find yourself a golden ticket amongst the caramely syrup slithering its way into your mouth? Well, apparently some freak at Coca-Cola did, as this was essentially the premise for the Magican promotion in 1990. A Magican was a disguised Coke can, but instead of containing diabetes juice, it was stuffed with a spring-loaded mechanism that popped out a cash prize or coupon. However,
you know what? I've seen something like this. Except for it wasn't cash, it was like a little stuffed bear. And like there was a couple of them, like you could get them. We had them in the vending machine at in my dorm, like in college, my freshman year of college. Like you might get a little bear. I had a couple of friends who got the little bear.
However, to make sure their secret Magicans not only looked, but also felt like a can of Coke, they needed to partially fill them with some kind of liquid. So what liquid did Coca-Cola decide to put in their Coca-Cola promotional can disguised to look like Coca-Cola? That's right, chlorinated water. This liquid was put in a sealed area of the can, but just in case it leaked, they added a foul-smelling chemical to the water to ensure people didn't drink it. As if the Go-Go Gadget money dispenser in your face wasn't enough. I'm sure you can see where this is going, Alex. They drank the liquid. They drank the liquid, yes.
Of course
Tons of these Magicans were plagued with technical difficulties, ranging from mechanism jams to faulty seals. This resulted in soggy Benjamins, people drinking them, and one kid even going to the hospital after drinking the no-no water. Terrified of making their customers unhappy, but more importantly, of any bad publicity or lawsuits, Coke immediately pushed a big advertisement campaign with the headline, "Take a Good Look," warning people that some cans were faulty and not to drink any fluids they found in their money-stuffed Magicans.
Well, people are just
we
dumb
get pretty
sometimes.
busy.
So honestly, when I really have to go, I just use one of the cans and store them down here for later.
Mike, did you see any cans down here? Oh, the Mountain Dew? I put on belt. No, this is a Coke facility, Mike. Oh my god. So, due to a manufacturing defect, a very small number of Coke cans may or may not contain a foul-smelling but harmless liquid that should just not be ingested. So just look before you drink, okay? I take it this is about the promotional Magicans that you probably filled with some sort of liquid to weigh them down, and this manufacturing defect you refer to must be a partition failure that resulted in this liquid, which was made to intentionally smell bad so as to discourage consumption, contaminating the rest of the can.
Yes.
Yeah. Their efforts would be in vain, however, as the promotion was cut short after a measly 3 weeks.
Oh,
Which,
wow.
Is anyone really surprised that the, hey, please don't drink the bad liquid campaign didn't work? I mean, it's just like those little silica packs that say don't eat on them.
It's American.
Of course that's not gonna work.
Of course they're gonna eat them.
Like, what are they hiding? Clearly something delicious. You all should eat those.
Eat them.
Right now.
Eat them.
I mean it. Pause the video and go into your parents' room this instant and dig through their dresser. Pepsi also ran a promotion
Gross,
in
don't do that.
1990 called Cool Cans, where instead of whimsical and convoluted spring contraptions, they just wrote codes at the bottom of the cans. However, even Pepsi wouldn't be safe from the controversy bug, as apparently if you stacked 2 of these cans on top of each other in just the right way, the word sex would appear and shock the delicate hearts of proper God-fearing Christians across America. While being one of the stupidest controversies I've ever heard,
That's hilarious.
Imagining the worst case scenario for some parent genuinely outraged at this obscure coincidence is very funny to me.
Another, Mommy, another. All right, sweetie, but this is your last one. Yay!
Mother, what is the meaning of this text? Are these glyphs vulgar? What have you taught me, Mother? A few years later, Pepsi...
Honestly, those kinds of things, though, you have to be looking for it. Like, I wouldn't have noticed that. I would never have even... It wouldn't have occurred to me. It didn't even really look like it said that to me. It's one of those things that's like people who are... They are actively looking for things to be mad about, and they're actively looking for things that are gross, and then they're putting it into their heads. And then it's like, I guess, kind of if you squint, but...
run a much bigger promotion in the Philippines called Pepsi Number Fever, where special bottles of soda were marked with a number under the cap. Each night, Filipino TV would broadcast a winning number with prizes ranging anywhere from 100 to 1 million pesos. That's roughly 16 to 160,000 gumballs at the time. Therefore, not only could people satisfy their sin of gluttony, but they could check off greed with a lottery as well. Packaging 2 vices in one? Now that's thinking with shareholder value. The 1 million peso grand prize was worth roughly 611 times the average Filipino monthly salary, and only 2 bottle caps would have the winning number. With the magnitude of the promotion, a mania had engulfed the Philippines.
Okay.
Kids scavenged through
I am getting the Wonka reference.
trash, people fought over caps in the streets, and 2 Pepsi salesmen were even murdered over a disputed cap. So I guess you could say Pepsi wasn't the only pop in their stomachs. Get it? Like a gun.
I
got it.
I
It
get
just
it.
wasn't a good joke. Yeah, well, they can't all be bangers. Just tell the story. Right. But everything would change on the evening of May 25th, where a whopping 70% of the entire country's population tuned into the evening news when the magical grand prize number was read 349. Somewhere in the Philippines, 2 people's lives were changed forever. Filled with the ecstasy of world-altering luck, the 2 winners rushed out their doors and were shocked to bump into each other just outside. What were the odds that not only were these 2 people winners, but next-door neighbors as well? In fact, what were the odds that a 3rd winning neighbor rushed outside too? And a 4th? And a 5th? And turns out 800,000 people had the winning number, with the estimated cumulative value of their caps being worth a staggering 32 billion US dollars. Obviously, this wasn't supposed to happen. Apparently, a computer glitch coupled with an extension of the promotion resulted in 800,000 additional caps being printed with the number 349, which they, I guess, forgot was already going to be a winning number. Oops, silly mistake. Better tell that to the hundreds of thousands of Filipinos storming the bottling plant for their money.
Yeah, I bet.
Pepsi tried to retroactively change the winning number. The clusterfuck of this lottery was only just beginning. They decided to give the people with the 349 number 500 pesos as a gesture of goodwill. But going from winning enough money to buy a Corvette to barely enough to afford one in GTA, understandably still had people pissed.
Yeah.
Protests erupted around factories. Pepsi trucks going to and from were flanked by armed guards. Stones were thrown at Pepsi managers. Bomb threats were made. Death threats were gave. Trucks were overturned, stoned, and burned. Chaos and lawsuits ensued long after the incident, but it took a year for the peak of the violence to occur. In one incident, an improvised explosive was thrown at a Pepsi truck.
Dang. I will also say, because I know that the other video that I watched was mostly about Coca-Cola. There was a little bit about Pepsi, a little bit about Fanta in there, but this is truly wild. Like, dang.
killing a 5-year-old and school teacher.
Oh my
In another
gosh.
instance, a grenade was thrown into a warehouse, killing 3 Pepsi employees.
Come on,
After
guys.
what some say was the biggest marketing disaster in history, Pepsi's market share plummeted, trust in the brand was destroyed, but most importantly, millions of dollars was lost. And some people died. So, Alex, after what you've learned here, and from all your lessons before, how would you address this crisis?
Wow, I mean, I suppose the best thing to do here would be to admit fault and bite the bullet. We probably couldn't afford paying all the winnings, but maybe we can apologize,
Alex,
invest in
trying to be
community
nice.
infrastructure, and
It's not gonna work.
compensate families for losses and damage.
No. What you should have said is, that's not something a little rebrand can't fix. Disasters are seasonal and memories are fickle.
That's
Just
true.
puke out a few commercials, flash some bright colors, bada bing, bada boom, market share recovered 2 years later. As for the lawsuits, one reached the Supreme Court of the Philippines after over a decade of legal battles, resulting in the 2 magic words that can cure any executive's ED, not liable. So, Alex, now that you're a proper wolf in sheep's clothing,
Really?
are you ready to start making millions and paying off that medical debt?
I guess, but how do I get the money for the manufacturing equipment, patent attorneys, and workplace rent?
Ah, well, that's actually step 0. Phone a friend. For money.
Well, I guess I could reach out to my dad.
Uh-oh. Looks like you still need to claim that 14-day free trial for MyHeritage by
man.
clicking the link
Sorry,
in the
Alex.
description. Discover more about your family history today. Blue Jay, I seriously need to know what you did to me. I can't remember my mother's face. Am I dying? Death comes for us all one day, Alex. Yours just might have been moved up a decade or 2. What? The history of soda companies. 4 out of 10 stars.
Dang.
Don't eat silica packs. That was a joke. Unless, no, don't. But maybe, no, don't. It doesn't taste good. But does it? No.
Anyway. Wow. Holy crap. That got dark, guys. I was not expect the chimp thing and then like the bombs at the Pepsi factory. I was not expecting that. That got so much darker than I was expecting. Wow. That's crazy. Anyway, on that note, yikes. Thank you for watching though. And I guess I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.